On this episode of the Blood and Bandage MMA podcast, we'll be talking about such news as
Kevin Holland replacing Darren Till, taking on Jack Hermansson.
Costa's many excuses for his recent losses.
Whittaker's comments on an upcoming title fight.
Tito Ortiz getting into office over in Vegas or in California somewhere.
We also this week have interviews with Derek Anderson of Bellator fame and Jason Kearns fighting out of Dubai, originally from Wexford.
We'll be doing a review of UFC Vegas 13.
And briefly looking at Bellator 251 Contender Series and One Championships.
We have a preview of upcoming events as well.
This week's fights. Exactly.
This week's fights, lots of them. So let's get into it.
I want to fight with Chuck. Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck.
Are you still drunk right now? Are you still drunk? Or what's going on?
This is Bruce Horseshoe. Frank Mir had a horseshoe up his ass. I pulled that sumbitch out and I beat him over the head with it.
You can't stop us at the Express. Choo-choo, motherfucker.
Choo-choo, motherfucker is right. Artem Lovov getting to the end of that stream this week. So, right, Paul, how are you, sir?
Very good. How are you? Had a good week. Long week of fights.
Long week of listening to the election results for the US presidential race.
Jesus Christ. 4 days of it. We were just discussing this, and he was saying he was staying up late at night watching the results. I don't know how these guys can do 4 or 5 hours on straight of getting excited about nothing happening.
Yep. No, it's
Madness.
definitely a skill.
Yeah.
It's definitely a skill. Although we kind of make an old fist of it ourselves here.
I was just going to say they love the sound of their own voice, and I was like, can I think of anyone else?
So look, we'll get into our news round first, I suppose. So what was our first item again?
Kevin Holland.
Oh, Darren Till is out.
Yeah.
So
what a way to go out, though. The tweet wishing both guys good luck and Darren and saying Kevin Holland is a warrior, and yeah, humble as you can be.
And to be fair to Darren Till, like, he is a bit of a messer. Like, he is calling out people and sending people crazy texts and kind of mocking people all the time. But everybody knows it's a joke. Like, everybody knows he's just taking the piss.
That's just it. He's the right side of entertaining in the sport. You know,
Yeah.
he's kind of the Derek Lewis of lighter weights, where everything he does, everyone knows it's a joke. Everyone knows it's just a bit of a cod, like. But
Yeah. He'd be brilliant definitely brilliant on the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah,
he was one of the ones that we had last week, wasn't it?
You were saying Till and Perry would be. That would be entertaining, to be fair, although Perry's a bit of a wild man lately. You wouldn't know what he'd be up to. But Kevin Holland, 4-0 already for this year, looking to go 5-0 now. Huge test. Jack Hermansson is no joke. So it's a big step up, I suppose. You have Hamzat making a big step up. Kevin Holland now looking to go 5-0. There's only a couple of fighters in modern history who have ever done that. And the only person who's done more than that is obviously Hoist back in 1994, I believe. He went 8-0 in a year. Yeah,
there was a big Twitter conversation on this over the last week there. The lads in
Ariel Helwani had a go, because last time he mentioned something about modern history. Big John McCarthy had a go at him for
because of Hoist Gracie. Yeah. And Don Fry's name came up for having like 100 fights in 2 weeks or something.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I can only imagine. Going back and forth, punching each other in the face. No one going down,
So there's no stopping this welterweight division. They're just getting on with it, really, aren't they? Like, there's like the new contenders coming up, or like, you know, there's no hanging around at the top there, you know.
Frightening. Yeah. I interesting to see who gets Breakthrough Fighter of the Year this year.
Yeah. Like,
you have, who was your man last night on the card that could easily be in the discussion? There was someone impressed me last night. It'll come to me when we're going through the fights again.
Yeah. This one on the main UFC cards, though.
Yeah, it could be Heoni Barcelos.
Yeah.
And then you have obviously Hamzat, and you have Kevin Holland now looking to go 5-0. If Kevin Holland goes 5-0, he's in with an argument for Fighter of the Year.
Yeah.
Considering
he's a bit of a wild man, though.
Considering it's not done. Essentially, you've Neil Magny did it, and there was someone else in modern history. I don't know, but it would be extreme, and especially with such a step up now to the Joker Hermansson.
Yeah,
massive result for him. December is going to be interesting.
It's a good time to be a pundit.
Unreal.
We get no sleep at all.
I know.
Fucking watching matches and going through fights and stuff.
And there was a lot of fights this week.
Oh my god.
Lots of fights.
I was watching 2 events split screen for the whole, like for the last 3 nights. I was just like, I had one championships on one side, I had a contender series on the other side, and I was trying to watch both and trying to tune out one set of audio for the other. And
you see, I was smart. I just ignored the politics and just watched the fights when they were on.
I know, but
I didn't get caught up in hours of CNN or NBC, as you said.
I know, but man, this whole fucking last 4 years of Trump has been just absolutely insane. I cannot understand how anybody voted for him again. And 70 million people voted for him for the next 4 years. I just can't.
I can understand your line of reasoning, but what's the alternative?
Well, the alternative is some sort of normality where somebody listens to...
Joe Biden is normality in your eyes.
He's normal compared to Trump.
But anyone's normal compared to Trump.
Well, that's what I mean. Like Trump, Jesus, like the amount of damage that Trump has done just with regards
You're talking about a corrupt old man with early onset dementia, like.
Which one are you talking about?
With paedophilic tendencies as well.
Are we talking about Biden now? Right?
We are talking about Biden. I mean, you could lump them both into that.
Yeah, I know, but there's definitely one that's way worse than the other. Like,
yeah. But one is funnier. One is more entertaining. I mean, if I was living in America, I'd be more worried about Trump. But I'm not living in America. He's quite entertaining to see from afar. And he hasn't bombed anyone in the 4 years, which is a massive plus.
Just about.
Yeah, I know, but man's shaking hands with Kim Jong-un. Like.
I know, but he's like got like 67 days or something left in office now, and he's on the way out the door. Like, what's he going to do over the next couple of months?
He'll do fuck all. He'll be grand.
Anyway,
that's if he's going out.
He wasn't fighting this week anyways. So who else have we got?
Paulo Costa and his myriad of excuses as to how...
So I didn't see any of this.
Oh my God.
It wasn't on NBC, so I didn't see it.
It's Sean O'Malley all over again, except worse.
Oh, shite.
Yeah. So he came out and the start of the tweet said, I wouldn't be one to make excuses. Something I'm paraphrasing now, but I wouldn't be one to make excuses. But I was tired and my leg was sore. I never should have fought that night. And there was other excuses that come out. And the same week this is all going on, you have Deontay Wilder come out with all his excuses. Oh, it's just fucking painful. Just accept the loss and move on. Yeah. If you're that bitter about it, win a fight and get a rematch. Yeah. Don't come out and try and defame your opponent or make excuses for you underperformed on the night. If he was that tired, fine. If his leg was sore, fine. But I mean, you compare it to other performances in the UFC. The guy barely threw a punch. He went out there and he got smoked. Like it wasn't in any way competitive. And he's putting that down to I was a little bit tired. The fuck out of here. That's like Izzy using the titty excuses. I was smoking a bit of weed. Suspect. Not having any of it.
Yeah, you're a tough man to get past, Paul.
No, not having any of it. And in the same division, then Whittaker, like poor old Whittaker. Dana comes out and says Whittaker said he didn't want a title fight. And Whittaker,
yeah, that's what I heard as well. But you were saying that he had said something completely different.
So what he'd said originally was, I'm not going, because he's a daughter on the way, and he said I'm not going fighting again this year. And he had mentioned, like you said, about he was relieved to be fighting without the belt, and that pressure was off and less eyes on him and stuff like that.
A lot of champions say that, don't they?
Yeah, especially when they lose the belt, because it must be a massive ease off, like pressure off your back, just going in there and 3-round fight again. Someone else is carrying the weight of the division, but to come out and say that he said he didn't want to fight him is just bullshit. Yeah,
that's Dana White throwing someone under the bus as usual. Like he's
100%, and he's murder for it. If you're an up-and-coming contender and you look like you've got a mouth on you and you're like Hamzat at the moment, like Conor when he first came on the scene, he's all about you and he'd do anything for you. You can get any opponent you want. You'll be looked after right to the top. And if you're a champion and you play ball, the same goes. The minute you lose that belt or the minute you stop playing ball, he will just treat you like absolute shit. Whittaker was the biggest company man. Like he took on, back-to-back, he went against Yoel Romero, against Who did he beat for the belt? It was Romero for the belt, yeah. But I think he beat someone else tough before that anyway. But he
Jacare.
But he had a streak of fights and came out. He'd busted knee in one of them, came back 6 months later, defended it again. Like, he's just got complete company man, and he's been shit on since. Completely shit on. It's awful. And he's come out now and said that he never said he wouldn't take the title fight, and that's why he does expect next.
Okay.
Now,
but then is he moving up to light heavy? Is gonna put a stall on that, like.
But this is the question again. Look at last night's performance or Saturday night's performance. You had Glover Teixeira. Who can argue against that man being next at 205? So you have two clear-cut contenders at 185 and 205, and you're going to make a super fight between two brand new champions.
Yep.
No.
Makes no sense.
I'm all aboard Izzy going up if it leads directly to the Jones fight. You put everything aside.
Why not just make that and forget about the
Exactly. Like, I get it that having a strap attached to it makes it bigger, but make interim titles. Do something quick that you're not pissing these guys off, because it's unfair treatment. They shouldn't be sitting out for a year.
Yeah, well, Glover Teixeira is going to be collecting a pension before they give him a fight against. That man is he's 41 now.
By the way,
he's only 2 years older than me, actually.
However, Izzy would do against Jan Blachowicz. Izzy against Glover.
That's a horrible fight for Izzy.
That's a fucking
horrible
nightmare. A nightmare. Like, Izzy is essentially a very similar striker to Santos. Santos has more power. Izzy's obviously technically better, and he's more a bigger array of strikes. But they'd be similar in style, the way they in and out and throw at speed and combinations. He made Santos look like a bad fighter.
Yep.
So
and he was able to close the distance fast as well, that's always the problem with trying to take down good strikers is closing the range. And he did it. He did the first takedown.
And he did it while rocked.
Yeah. Well, in the first round he did, and in the second round he just swept him.
Yeah, he got tagged a couple of times early in the first round and still managed to get the takedown. It was very, very impressive. But so look, I think let Whittaker have his fight. Let Teixeira have his fight. Work everything else out after that. You move around in divisions if there's no clear-cut contenders, but both divisions now have a very obvious number one.
Yeah.
So they've got to be made. Also, Tito Ortiz, your boy. Baffling. We're talking about the elections. The American people, what the fuck is going on over there?
I don't know.
Anyone's listening to America, please hit us up and explain how. Look, Tito's a legend, don't get me wrong. But a legend of scrapping. Yeah. That's it.
Like, he's the kind of guy now that would, moving into politics. I mean, I know there's been a bunch of different MMA fighters that have moved into politics. I think Mirko Krokop did it in
Chael Sonnen ran for a seat, but he had to pull out because of the legal issues.
Well, he said he left office the only way one should, in handcuffs.
God, I love Chael.
But at least when he's like in, we say, debating and whatever, he comes across as like an intelligent guy. Tito's going to come across as a meathead. And he's not going to come. I know the inventor of UFC got in on
one of the UFC creators, Art Davies. Big shout out to Art. I'm a big fan. I've spoken to him before, and he's a really nice guy. But he wanted to defend Tito on our Instagram page.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's just strange. I can't understand. Like, anyone from the outside can see that Tito, like, he struggles with any kind of public speaking.
And I think just coming across as sounding reasonable as well. He's very aggressive and straight away. He's like, it's not going to be a debate. It's going to be a fight.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's the kind of meathead persona that MMA fighters live with. Yeah. And we've been trying to shake that for 2 decades. I know you're going to put this guy in public office, arguably the most controversial kind of
Hunting the Beach bad boy.
I know.
On the city council.
I know.
He's literally the tagline of like what UFC was trying to get away from. Not that they don't recognize him as a legend of the sport.
No, of course he's a legend of the sport.
They spent, absolutely, like you say, 2 decades trying to get away from that exact image. And now he's taking that brand, whether he's left the company for how many years, he's still taking that brand and representing it in politics now.
Yep. Be like
Bananas.
Colby Covington now running for office. Be the same
I
type of
wouldn't
thing.
be at all surprised.
Yeah.
Would you fucking stop yourself? he'll be running mate for Donald Trump in 2024.
24, I know.
Oh,
although I reckon it's going to be his daughter who runs next.
Ivanka.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of people who said that, all right.
She's definitely going to run if not 2024, 2028, and she will get in.
Do you think?
Oh,
she's a
100%.
honey, by the way.
Eh.
She's a honey.
Eh.
I'd vote for her just based on that. She can take my vote. Not a bother. We're going to get into some fights.
Is that all our news?
Yeah, look, there wasn't much happening by way of news with all the fight. I've noticed that as well. It's the week coming up to the pay-per-view events.
Yeah.
Or when there's a lot of news about upcoming fights and stuff that breaks. It was a slow enough week, news-wise, with the exception of how fighters are getting treated and stuff like that. But should be interesting. Next week will be a big one, obviously. 255 coming up, so I expecting a good bit of news next week.
Yep, some announcements and stuff.
Yep.
Right. UFC on Vegas 13 card. Will we start with the undercard or the main card?
Yeah, start with the undercard. We'll
Okay.
fly through it.
So you had Gustavo Lopez and Anthony Burchik. It was the first fight up in bantamweight.
Gustavo looked slick.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah, he landed some big hooks, big left hooks early in particular.
Yeah.
And
Quick submission then.
Or rear naked choke. And he dropped the fight to Dvalishvili in his last one, I think.
Yeah.
So this just I know Dvalishvili is kind of moving up along the ranks, but this just makes him he's staying with them now as they go.
He's there behind them, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe a rematch down the line in a couple of years' time for those two.
Definitely, and everything at 35 at the moment looks. We'll get into the other 35 fight, but
yeah,
everything at 35 at the moment looks completely stellar. I haven't seen a bad 135-pound fight. I'm going to jinx it now, touch wood. There'll be a few of this again, but I haven't seen a bad 135-pound fight in a while in the UFC. Or Bellator, for that matter.
The welterweights are up next. Max Griffin and Ramiz Brahima. Okay. Well, whatever.
I believe
it doesn't matter what you call him. He won't be able to hear you.
Jesus Christ. By the way, he doesn't have a nickname currently. I wanted to get out there.
What are you calling him?
Van Gogh. Can we please, anyone that knows him, tag him? Ramiz Van Gogh Brahima. Only tag him if he's got a sense of humor, if you know him well. But it's the perfect nickname. Surely. He lost an ear at a fight.
Brilliant.
Ramiz,
I wonder, is he colorblind too?
Yeah. Does a bit of painting on the side. Ramiz Van Gogh Brahima. You have it there. That's his nickname going forward. I'm going to get on to Tapology and Sherdog to update their pages.
Yeah, I had that was a very even fight, in kind of starting out. I had actually Ramiz up on the first round, although I saw people online were giving Griffin the first round. I just felt that he was landing more significant shots early on, but the active jab from Griffin the second round onwards just really started to take a toll.
Yeah, definitely.
And, he started to pull away then.
I was actually one of the people that gave Griffin the first round, and it was purely based on activity and pressure. I know Ramiz landed some good strikes, and clearly the bigger strikes.
Yeah.
But I just thought Griffin looked composed. He kept coming forward through simple combinations, but looked very good doing it. Very impressive performance from Griffin, to be honest.
And it was like a straight right hand that sliced the ear, you know. And
was it not the elbow from the clinch?
No, the elbow was afterwards. So the elbow
really?
Opened it up a second time.
It was
Yeah, no, on the replay you clearly see it. The 1-2, the 2 just basically just caught his ear and just pulled off literally pulled it away from the side of his head. But the problem is the cauliflower ear. So the cauliflower ear, if it's not drained effectively, then the blood just calcifies, and then it hardens into basically bone, but it's got a jagged edge to it all over the place. So that's why it's cutting. There was a female fighter a few years ago that something very, very similar happened to.
Yeah, but it wasn't as bad.
No, this was the worst.
Yeah.
This was literally hanging off.
It's one of the most stomach turn, and I have a strong stomach. It's one of the most stomach turning injuries I've seen
I don't mind
in
those types
MMA.
of ones. I don't mind cuts or ears hanging off, but I can't be dealing with broken legs. I just can't be dealing with it.
Oh, see, Silva's broken leg was nothing in comparison to this.
No, I was bent over a tide, just heaving. I couldn't handle that at all. Like, no way.
But yeah, Griffin going forward. Look, he's had some tough losses there. I don't know where he goes. He's got to get another couple of fights, but he looked very impressive in that one. Certainly looked the best I've seen him anyway.
Yeah. No, that jab was the money.
He's his comments after as well. Did you see when the referee pulled him apart? The referee spotted it.
Oh yeah.
And the referee pulled him apart, and he just takes one step back and he goes, "Oh shit!"
I was trying to figure out who had said that as well.
Yeah, it was Max.
I didn't know whether it was the referee or was.
It was Max.
Imagine if it was the referee. That'd be totally unprofessional.
I know, yeah. But his head was buried under his chin.
Yeah.
Like, took a step up. Very good.
Talking about damage, then we had Mr. The Damage, Darren Elkins, up in the next fight in the featherweight division, and he was fighting Eduardo Garagori from Uruguay. So,
you have an opinion on Darren?
I don't think it's a controversial one. I think the man needs to be pulled away from fighting ASAP. Yeah. He's already showing severe signs of CTE. Like, as soon as he we talk about the fight first and that.
Yeah.
He was facing. I mean, Garagori is obviously coming from a Muay Thai background, very very good striker, and Darren Elkins is basically like a poor man's version of Khabib. He does the same type of fight style. He holds you against the fence, takes you down, grounds and pounds you, ties up the legs, gets the Dagestani handcuff, and grinds out wins that way. He never really kind of has like knockouts or anything like that. But that's fine when he's in that range. He's the one doing the damage, but the amount of damage he takes before he gets to the takedown is it's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. And he has so much scar tissue on his face that he looks like he's been through a car crash every single time.
Every time he's out, yeah.
So I mean, the way the rounds went, it was like start of every round he was taking a few shots. He'd get in, he'd get the takedown, and he'd maul Garagori for the rest of the round, and that's just the way it went. And eventually in the third round, he was almost out of it. Yeah. Next, he gets the back and he finishes with the choke, gets the win. Much to his own relief as well, might I add. He was a very very happy bunny when he got through to the rear naked choke at the end. But what I was most concerned about was the post fight interview and slurring his speech, looking like he didn't know where he was. Yeah. And even as the interview finished, he was just left standing there looking like as if he wasn't in the room, like he just wasn't there at all. He was definitely concussed.
Yeah, he did mention as well that he talked to his wife about quitting, and so something, without being prompted, was in his head about, is it time to go, or without the question even being asked,
it's time to go.
He was trying to answer it.
How many times have we talked about this now in the last couple of weeks? Like, if you're not in the run for a title shot, he's talking about. He was happy to I think he was tying some record for number of appearances in the featherweight division or something like that.
He beat a couple of records as well. He got most takedowns. So he beat the record for most takedowns in featherweight history.
Right.
And he tied the record as well for most submission finishes, I believe, in featherweight history. All very impressive.
Yeah, hugely. But at what cost though? At what cost? I mean, like he finished out by he was asked so what's next for you? He's like, well, I'd be happy to make another couple of appearances. Yeah. Another couple of appearances are going to take another 10 years off his life. Yeah. Like, that dude just needs to be retired. He just needs to stop right now and immediately start taking vitamin D and some other sort of supplement or something to get to start training.
When you see a guy who knows he's just fighting to fight, he knows he's not going to make any run at a title or anything like that. He's mentally not. He knows he's not going to get there. It is kind of hard to watch, especially when there's clearly damage, pardon the pun, already done.
Yeah, and like the fact that he takes pride in the name, the Damage as well. And I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
No, you're not. I know what you're going to say, and you're not.
The nickname is for him taking damage, isn't it? Yeah. That is the most stupid thing to be proud of.
Yeah, well, look, early in his career, as far as I know, and I think you're right, early in his career, he was known as the guy who would just walk through fire to get the takedown, and that's his gym obviously gave him a nickname or a coach or a training partner or someone, and it stuck, and he wears a badge of honor across his chest. That was probably fine when he was in his early 20s. But it's not really a badge of honor anymore.
Well, we have something similar with Abanu Fares here in the gym a few years ago, because he came from Muay Thai. He had that kind of that tough mentality of he'll take a shot to give a shot, and he would never move his head. He'd always just walk straight ahead, and he was getting hit with a lot of shots. And like I told him, like you're not fighting anymore if you don't learn to move your head. You're not fighting anymore. Yeah. And I was saying, like we used to joke about it, like, but it was joking, but it was serious at the same time. I was saying to him, look, your younger brother Fufu there is going to be feeding you, and changing your nappies by the time you're 40.
He's a young man.
Do you know what I mean? Like, cop on. Do you know what I mean? I don't care how tough you think you are. Yeah. Your brain is the same as any other brain in the human on the planet. And it can't take that much damage.
That goes to, I suppose, how close the relationship is to the fighter and those people around him that should be making those calls and should be making those decisions for him. Because at the end of the day, like you telling Abanu he wouldn't be able to get a fight, whatever, there should be someone in his corner that makes those decisions for him and tells him, we're not going to put you in there again.
It's very hard when he's an adult then, you know. He is an adult. He's in charge of his own destiny. But if his wife has said it to him, she's obviously said it to him. Look,
they've had some discussion anyway.
Yeah. I mean, like that. She's probably trying not to kind of. She's trying to be supportive and at the same time express, you know, some concern. Yeah. I would be like straight away, you know, the coach needs to get in there and say, look, she's right. You're done. Yeah. That's it. You know. I was very, very concerned about his demeanor in that post-fight interview. Very, very concerned.
No, one thing I will say in his defense. From watching him from going back years ago, he was never exactly the best spoken individual in the UFC. He was always kind of a bit, I don't know how you'd say it, but he kind of came across that way anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Like his speech was never perfect, and he was kind of a bit wild and unkempt and kind of that kind of way. So
it was more the vacant look in his eyes at the end and just being lost.
Oh, but like you say, he was clearly concussed in that last round.
Definitely concussed.
That'll stick with you.
Yeah, 100%. So hopefully somebody looks after him anyway. I don't see it though. I see him having another 2 or 3 fights easy.
I suppose the promotion has some responsibility there as well, not the bucket, like, but I mean, the UFC aren't going to do that.
No, I don't think so.
BJ Penn was still getting fights up until recently, so.
Yep.
Next up was the heavyweights.
Very impressed with this one. Like for both fighters, what did you make of him?
So I've been a fan of Dilima's. I've been impressed by him so far, but I'd heard so much about this Romanov fella that I picked Romanov. I kind of had an idea that he was this destroyer coming in, and the forearm choke. Like apparently he has 3 of them. Now, as far as I know, someone in the commentary team said there was no forearm choke previously in the UFC.
Yep.
Now, I believe there is one before, but it was unintentional. It was basically someone just using it as pressure, standing up in a close guard. So it was an unintentional forearm choke, but they did get it. But, like, he's going for this forearm choke and submitting people, and they don't even know they're being submitted until they're out.
Yeah. No, it's a very unusual technique. I didn't see it coming on. Like, I didn't, like, as I was watching the fight, I could see him looking for the far side underhook.
Yeah.
And I could see him using his forearm to control. Yeah. But I didn't realize that he was actually, like, he was doing a gable grip from the underhook to the top of the choking arm and then using that to apply the pressure. And,
crazy.
The Lima was out.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy. It's like Olenek with his Ezekiel choke. Yeah. It's something you just have to have this weird, unique strength for. Very few other people will probably pull it off.
I'm going to give it a go now this week.
Try. I'm definitely not being your victim for that one anyway.
I definitely have to have a go at it this week now.
But it's going to take some weird, something that you've obviously done in practice thousands of times. That maybe started out as a kind of framing technique or something, and you realised you had weird strength there. Yeah, he's going to be a nightmare for anyone.
Yeah, he's a horrible one.
A heavyweight.
And
We've picked his next opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. Dana, sign it.
Greg Hardy.
Let's do it.
We were only saying last week we wanted a monster to fuck up Hardy. Romanov is your boy. And I was saying to Liam last night after the fight, don't just book this fight. Make it a trilogy and book it 3 shows, one after the other. So Hardy gets a whooping. And then obviously 3 fights, Giddy has to get cut.
Yep, so, absolutely.
And then get cut, go to Bellator, and Ryan Spillane can touch him up another 3 times over there.
Nice. And for every fight he loses, his ex-wife is in the opposite corner.
We're back on that. By the way, I did a little bit of research. I don't believe the man's been in jail.
Oh, really? Are we back to allegedly?
Well, fuck him at this point.
Yeah.
We're all in at this point, like so.
But come here, the amount of athleticism out of Romanov as well. Did you see him warming up?
Yeah.
He was doing like one-handed cartwheels and everything.
He's a big buccal, like.
He's
no small boy at all to be carrying on like that.
Moldovans know how to wrestle, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing, he came in and they were on about the wrestling and all this. He can strike on the feet as well. He got some power in them hands.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah,
and I was very impressed with Delima's leg kicks. Like he threw hard shots. He had Romanov in trouble for at least a couple of flurries. Like you know?
I know what Delima's look. This is the thing. Delima's look the contender there. He's not ranked yet. He hasn't got the opponent, and obviously he's got a bit longer way to go now. But he's looked impressive since he's been in the UFC. So.
And Romanov called out Marcin Tybura.
That's a huge call out. Because didn't Tybura got a win?
To top 5, isn't it?
That's what I was going to say. Tybura got a win. He's 6'7" now.
Yep.
Maybe try someone around that 15 mark first.
Yeah, I think the Greg Hardy is the way to go.
Yeah, and then make your move up, Romanov. Come on, do us a favour.
There was a middleweight fight, Bevan Lewis and Trevin Giles. I only got to see this afterwards, but yeah, both of these guys. I think one of these guys is a win over Jack Green Buckley as well.
Yes, Bevan Lewis does.
Has he? Yeah. So kind of an even fight, wasn't it?
Oh, look, guys looked impressive, but it wasn't a standout fight on the card.
Yeah.
To this point, every fight had finished.
Yeah.
And this one looked like it wasn't going to.
Yeah.
No, there was a TKO finish late. But it was kind of back and forth, like you say. No guy stood. Obviously, Giles got the finish, but no guy stood out massively, especially at 85. No, at the moment you have people streaking like Kevin Holland. It's going to be tough to get a top 15 or a contender fight at 85 at the moment. So, and maybe another big win. Both guys did look good, but not massively impressive.
I think they're just their styles kind of cancel each other out
a little bit. Yeah. Just kickboxing. Kickboxing bout.
Nothing massive to report out of that. So we had the main card, Claudia Gadelha and Jan
Schwanin.
I think Schwanin is a young girl from Kerry, is it? Anyway, good scrap.
The Chinese takeover in the women's divisions. I was because obviously I'd been talking about Schwanin Yan and that she looked impressive, whatever. This is the most impressed I've been because she got controlled in the first round, and she made a couple of slight changes, just the use of the jab, and the other small change she made is she threw no low kicks. Okay, she threw a couple of high kicks in the second and third rounds, but she threw no leg kicks and no body kicks because Gadelha was eating them up in the first round, and the second takedown Gadelha got was from, I think it was an attempted thigh kick. So I'd like to make that change on the fly and to hold it for 2 rounds and look that impressive.
The other thing I noticed as well is Gadelha actually was almost even with her for the first half of the first round striking wise.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You'll see this a lot as well, even with McGregor fighting Mayweather. When you have somebody that's trying to match somebody else's striking style, they can hold with them for a little bit, but it's as the fatigue sets in,
the class will eventually shine through.
And that, I think that's what happened with Jan here.
I do think Gadelha got a little bit demoralised as well. About midway through that second round, even coming out to the third round, she looked kind of defeated. Yeah.
It was actually one of the commentators said that throughout the week, Jan just looked like she wanted to be there more.
Yeah. And I think especially after the first round, Gadele thought maybe that it was going to be a much easier night than it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then realised with the movement in the second, she was like, oh, this is a different girl that I fought in the first round. So, yeah, she did. She kind of defeated herself mentally, I think.
It was a big setback for Claudia Gadele as well.
Unreal. She's a couple of rough enough losses now in her last 4 fights. There's that one and the loss to Nina Ansaroff. So, she's got a bit of a climb back.
Yeah. So now potentially we have Jan Xiaonan against Zhang Weili.
Yeah.
So that's 2 Chinese girls fighting for the strawweight title. When in 2018 or 2019 we had
17.
2 Polish girls fighting for the strawweight title, which was Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Karolina Kowal-Kiewicz.
Yeah.
So that strawweight belt is being clawed for by different nations, and none of them American at the moment, which is unusual.
Has there been an American? Oh, Yvonne or Rose Namajunas.
Was that strawweight? Oh, it was. Yeah.
I was trying to think, was there a champion? But sure, of course, Carla Esparza as well.
Wasn't she the inaugural champ that Joanna took out? Yeah.
But yeah, look, I can't wait for that fight. I hope they make that fight next and that they don't try and push Jan Xiaonan to another tough opponent.
Yeah.
Because it's a perfect style matchup. You've got the range of Jan versus the explosive hooks and throwing power of Zhang.
Yeah.
Could go either way.
I think Zhang is just a better version of Claudia Gadele. I think she'd be able to close.
Oh, much better. Yeah. Definitely on the feet, and this would be 25 minutes on the feet.
Yep.
I don't think either girl goes away. We saw what Zhang's capable of in the Joanna fight.
Yep.
That'd be very exciting fight.
Huge one for the Asian market as well. Like
massive.
If they just ran a card in China again somewhere. I know they can't do mainland China, but they can do. Is it Macau? Isn't it?
Macau did it before. Yeah. They've done Beijing, no?
There's something political about mainland China. I don't know what it is, and I don't know whether they've sorted it yet or not.
I thought
even an Abu Dhabi card would be big over there. Like
exactly,
you know?
It's more or less the same time zone.
Yeah.
That'd be huge over there. That market is absolutely massive, and anything they can eat into the one market and the rising market is going to help them massively.
100%.
Next up, you had Giga Shikadze. I don't think anyone picked against Giga against poor James Crow Simmons, and for obvious reasons after watching the fight, that guy's kicks are disgusting.
They're lethal, and very clever with them as well. Like,
did you hear the sound of the head kick? Like, I was worried there was an audible thud off the side of the head, and he's a big ass afro on his head as well. Like, there's some padding there. That didn't sound nice at all, and to switch it up from body to head as well. And
what he did as well is he kicked him in the body, it landed, and then he looked at the same spot while he kicked him in the head. Which is crafty.
Horrible.
But it was good though. It was kind of like almost like a walk-off knockout as well. He knew he landed it. He knew he had it. Like, it was very impressive.
He's 4-0, 5-0 now overall in the featherweight division.
Yeah, moving on up. The Georgians are taking over as well.
He's going to be a nightmare for anyone at 45. There's some serious contenders at 45 as well. It's not on fire like lightweight. It's not on fire like bantamweight, but there's some very big contenders there. And he's 6 foot as well.
Yeah, he's a tall guy. Yeah,
and apparently he caught the bantamweight at one point. He's way too fucking big for bantamweight. Will you stop?
I'm trying to think of Magomed Sharipov is in featherweight as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
So that'd be a good matchup between those two.
Or Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Some
really, really classy strikers there. Like,
yeah.
You know, we're getting a lot of strikers that can do spinning shit now. You know, we didn't have that in years gone by. Like, apart from Edson Barbosa, nobody else was really doing it. Like,
and it's heading more towards the kicking game. The new elite strikers, their kicks are just insane, and they're landing head kicks, and not like back in the day when someone threw a 1-2 and then flicked up a leg after it and might catch you, clip you on the top of the head. These guys are like you said, looking at the body and not even looking where he was going through the kick, but know exactly where he was putting it on the temple. Yeah, dangerous.
Yeah, and talking about elite level kickers and strikers, you had your boy, the bantamweight division, Ioni Barcelos against Khalid Taha. What a great fight.
Shit.
brilliant fight.
I don't know who I was talking about online, but I maintain that in another year, this could be a contender for fight of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Just back and forth. The fight had absolutely everything. The end of the second round, Taha nearly getting stopped, showing unbelievable heart. The last 30 seconds of the third round, just swinging for the fences at each other. It was just a barnstorming fight. I think he only won a clear...
Yeah, 30-27 always around. That's what I had anyway.
Yeah.
I felt that he was like a young Jose Aldo coming through, like or like a young Edson Barbosa.
Just
but he
so
had
polished.
But apparently he's a coral belt in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be getting them until you're in your 50s, like.
Don't know. What age is he? He's 28, 29?
Yeah, he looked mid-20s anyway. He's a young lad. Like, he's nowhere near his retirement age.
That's
like,
insane.
He's a scary dude. Although I was... Like, I mean, for someone with such a high level of jiu-jitsu, he didn't get the finish. Like, Khalid was
how
tough.
Good did Khalid look? That's my point. Tough to submit, tough to finish on the feet. I mean, you have to give the guy props. Like,
yeah.
To be completely outclassed in a fight and come out of it and your stock has gone up.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive. Because he was essentially outgunned everywhere.
Yep.
But kept that fight entertaining from first minute to 15th minute.
And he was so relaxed every time that Barcelos had either, well, most of the time it was like a rear naked choke that he was threatening, but Taha was just like, okay, yeah, I know you're about to choke me here, and then he just rotate, he turn into him, and the choke be gone. He just have an underhook, and he come up and
looked so calm.
Yeah,
very, very impressive.
So that's your bantamweight division, as you were saying. A lot of top contenders there. It's just like stacked. And it's stacked all over the world. Like, you don't want to be a bantamweight and
absolutely
trying to get a pro contract in one of these bigger divisions now at the moment.
And the tough season next year is, of course, bantamweight.
Lovely.
God help the fucking winner that comes out of that.
I know.
And I was thinking about this as well. I was talking to little hush of Brian Moore. I was talking to him about who he saw as going on to it, because we were talking about guys that had been apparently out of contract with Bellator. You could easily see the likes of Manny Vasquez or Ricky Bandejas.
Nice.
On the upcoming season of Tough.
Yep.
You think about their options right now. Neither one is going straight into the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
So they're out of contract with Bellator. Are they going to go to one? Are they going to go PFL? Or are they going to try chance their arm and get into the Ultimate Fighter, considering the timing of it?
Yeah, that's a good move as well, because your stock goes way up when you're in the Ultimate Fighter, just from the
100%.
Just from the coverage alone, you know.
100%. And can you imagine if that caliber of fighter is going into it?
Yep.
That's going to be a phenomenal season.
Yep, 100%. So we had the heavyweights next: Tanner Boser, Andrei Arlovsky.
No, look.
Try and stay awake for this one now.
I know. Look, Arlovsky at 41 years old, just rolling back the years, looking like a fucking...
Yeah, just see all the side kicks and the back heel kicks he was throwing and everything. Very impressive.
Yeah, he looked like a murderer just with no intent.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He looked like a killer, but he didn't follow through with anything. But look, he obviously outpointed him. Clipped Boser a few times, hurt him a few times. Didn't have the killer instinct to go in and get the finish, but did enough to win. But I'm
not sure, was it not a lack of killer instinct or more of a kind of like, you know, he knew he was ahead and he just wanted
didn't want to throw himself onto something stupid.
Yeah. I think it was more kind of decision making from him, and as I was saying to you as well, he's like, he has nothing left to prove. He's the former champ. He's been around forever. You know,
man won his first fight in the UFC in 2000.
You don't want to finish that, just 2000.
The year 2000.
My God.
And that's insane to be winning a fight in the UFC 20 years later. Now there was a 3 or 4 year hiatus in the middle of it where he went away to, he just competed in Strike Force, and several other places. But
he fought Fedor that time, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he get chinned by Fedor?
He's fought everybody.
I know.
Absolutely everybody.
So he's got nothing left to lose. But this was Boser's chance, you know. This was his time to take out one of the old guards and move himself up the rankings, and he just didn't go
froze up completely. Froze up. And I've been impressed with Boser so far. He looked like a guy that the big lights didn't bother him. Like even in his debut he looked impressive. So I thought if anyone was going to go in there and take on a legend and not let it get to him, that it would be him. But he completely froze up. That's the only answer for it, because he never let the hands go. He looked afraid to engage.
Yep. I was surprised at how much bigger Arlovsky was over him as well.
Yeah. Now, Bozor had the weight advantage, but
yeah.
just physical size.
Yeah, Arlovsky's a big boy. Like,
yeah.
You know, and Arlovsky hasn't looked the bigger guy in a lot of his fights recently. Like, so
Tim Sylvia, he looked like a dwarf next to Tim Sylvia.
So I think, Bozor has a tough road ahead of him. I mean, like, if you can't get past Arlovsky, how are you going to get past the guys above Arlovsky? You know, he's going to have to go back to the drawing board here.
The next big task or big challenge for him, wherever it comes, whenever it comes, he needs to look like a completely different fighter in that moment. Because if this is going to be a continuation, he's going to go nowhere in his career. He needs to make the big step up the next time. Because it could just be, I mean, like that. What age? Tanner Bozor, I believe, 29. He was 9 years old when possibly only 8 years old when Arlovsky won his first UFC fight. And the guy's a legend, former champion.
He was having nightmares about the Millennium Bug.
Like, there's a realistic possibility that this was just nerves and it got the better of him. So, but next time out, and maybe not next fight, because next fight will probably more than likely be a lesser opponent.
Yeah, he should steamroll.
But next big occasion, he's got to show up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But this has been a weird month for people who are giving their opponents too much respect. We talked about this last week as well, you know.
And just completely gun shy.
Yep.
Strange one.
Yep. There's no gun shy in the main event anyway. The light heavyweight division, Glover Teixeira and Thiago Santos.
Absolutely not. Talking about rolling back the years. Holy shit. Santos is, I've done it again. I did it earlier. Teixeira looks unbelievable. 41-year-old man. Get the fuck.
I know. Unbelievable. Yeah.
I'm half of him and I'm 9 years younger. 7 years younger. 8 years younger. Crazy.
Yeah. No, it was a very impressive performance to be able to take those heavy shots early on, survive, get the takedown, and then just dominate from there. I mean, every single time they got close enough, it was Teixeira just dominating and schooling his younger brother. That's what it looked like. Yeah. It looked like he was just bullying his younger brother. Like,
I think Santos didn't help himself with all the talk and the lead up to the fight being that.
Oh really? I didn't hear that.
What Santos is the narrative going into it that Santos was like going for his black belt in the gi and jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah.
He's been like flat out on the mats and reckons he can compete on the mat.
Yeah, but jiu-jitsu in the gi and MMA with the strikes, totally different.
Oh, I know, but don't build a narrative for a fight with a jiu-jitsu legend in the sport. Or if you're going to, make sure you have a plan to at least get up. Because in other fights that he's been taken down, his big thing was that his strength, he was able to get up. But Glover's control was just phenomenal.
Yep.
Never let him, not an inch of space.
Yep. No,
but
it was very impressive.
Did get rocked in the first round. Did get rocked in the third round.
The third round, I thought he was gone in the third round. I really did.
I think Santos' biggest mistake was going to the ground with him, though. Should have just waved him back up. He'd have been on wobbly feet.
Although he did land some really serious elbows when he did go down. You know, I thought I he was rocked from being dropped the first time. Although he was a little bit off balance as he got dropped with that one. But it was the elbows and the hammer fists that came after that. I thought he was gone at that stage. And the referee was stuttering back and forward, like wondering whether he should jump in or not. Teixeira did just enough to keep himself in the fight. Yeah. And then, sure, as soon as he got I think that was a case of Santos' heart just breaking when he got reversed.
But as well, when he was throwing the ground and pound, he was throwing everything into them and put himself off balance a couple of times. And against someone of Teixeira's level, like Teixeira was just, I know he was obviously getting hit a lot, but he was waiting for the right moment to try and hit the sweep or try.
That sweep was way too easy for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he swept. He didn't just escape side control. He escaped side control into a double leg. Yeah. You'd normally come up on a single leg with escapes like that, but he went straight to the double leg, and then like in the process of getting putting Santos back down, took the mount, and then he turned. Crazy.
The levels,
unreal. I know that puts Glover Teixeira as number one contender, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's got Jan Blachowicz as champion. Thiago Santos was number one.
Yeah.
So now Glover Teixeira is number one.
Yeah.
Is it Dominic Reyes behind them?
Yeah, and Dominic's just lost badly to Jan.
Mm.
So he's the clear number one contender. It's inarguable, but you have Izzy sniffing about there is the problem.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here, Izzy. Just go straight and fight John Jones. And
this is it. You've got Teixeira. Like, I mean, I know he's had his cracks at the belt. It's not like a fighter that's been around forever and has never got a chance at it.
Yeah.
But I think in everyone's eyes, this is his best chance at getting the belt.
Oh, 100%.
No disrespect to Jan, but...
He's a terrible match for Jan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jan's going to have, like... Jan does well against good strikers.
Yeah.
Because he's got the wrestling and the grappling to fall back on.
Yeah.
But if you don't knock Teixeira out... he's coming for you.
Which we've seen. You need that rumble power to knock Teixeira out, apparently. Rumble has something special.
Yeah, absolutely.
Suppose we'll briefly look at Bellator 251 and Contender Series.
Yep.
Bellator 251, Corey Anderson versus Manheof. Kind of went as expected.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, look, I mean, obviously Manheof is a legend, but there's levels to this game, and Corey Anderson has been fighting the tougher competition over the last few years and has the more rounded game as well, being a good, strong wrestler as well,
Yeah, holds a win over Texeira.
That's true.
I mean, you look at the 205 division now, he's just at the bouncing. He must be looking back over the UFC, kind of going, oh, shit, I could have been a champ. Yeah,
it's good for Bellator, though, to have arguably one of the top 5.
Definitely. But, by the way,
heavies.
Vadim Nenkov
Yep.
is a problem.
That's a problem for anybody, yeah.
That's a fucking problem. He's got a tougher route to the belt in Bellator now than he would have had in the UFC right now.
Yep.
Yuck.
So he had some easy takedowns, control, ground and pound from half guard top, just got him out of there. That was all she wrote. Sad to see Melvin Manheof take a TKO last, but look.
Yeah. Look, I don't think Manheof expected any different going into that fight. I think he just took it, kind of being a company man.
Stand-up bantamweight female for me was Jalen Bates. Very high pace, great wrestling, good potential.
Looks very impressive, yeah.
I can't even remember who she was fighting, but
yeah. Other than that, you had Derek Anderson. Did you see that? The kick?
I did. Yeah. Do you know what? I don't think it was. I don't think he intentionally placed it at that time. I think he just threw it.
No, God no.
And it was luck either way. It could have been illegal. I don't think it was planned.
But tell me what you make of Mata staying down and telling them he couldn't go on.
Yeah, because he was hoping to win by DQ.
But I mean,
yeah, that's a bitch move,
isn't it?
Total bitch move. He was fine. That wasn't even a hard kick.
Yeah, like he sat up right after and looked at the ref, kind of like, what the fuck was that?
Nothing wrong with him.
He shot himself in the foot because he comes out of it looking like the biggest twat in the world now. He must have known. They were talking about it the whole way through the production that there was instant replay. Yeah. And he must have known it was going to instant replay. He must have believed that his knee was down.
Yeah.
But to say he didn't want to continue and trying to get the DQ, I'm delighted it was.
But once they go to the instant replay, is the fight is over then, isn't it?
Fight has to end.
Yeah. So, yeah, but he should, are you a fighter or are you a mouse? Just get up and fight. It wasn't that bad at all.
At the end of the day, right, if he looked back at that, if he got up, continued on, looked back at it, and maybe there was a point deducted, we don't know, and looked back at it and realised after the fact that it was an illegal blow, which it wasn't, but he lost the fight, whatever means, and came back after, he could still hold his head up high and say, hey, look, I got caught with an illegal knee and I still manned up and went through the fight and did whatever. Yeah. Whereas now he's lucky at it. He's taken an L in the most horrible way. Tried to sneak a win. Yeah, I don't know. Derek Anderson, by the way, looked impressive. I'm going to be talking to him tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll get a video up. But he's looked very impressive. And the guy's been unfortunate. He's been matched up to fight MVP twice. He's been matched up to fight Daly twice. All have fallen through, so hopefully he'll get another big fight.
Yep. We had in the light heavyweight division, Easy Pelisi.
Yeah.
You were...
Jesus Christ, he got destroyed.
You got Anglicus is... Yeah. He's one to be looking out for. Another light heavyweight there up in that division.
Definitely. And Pelisi has looked good so far.
Yeah, I thought Pelisi's coordination looked a bit off.
Yeah.
That was a bit strange.
He looked all out of sorts right from the off. didn't look the fighter that I've been watching for the last couple of fights anyway.
Yeah, so he was going for the head on the outside single and kind of going for high amplitude takedowns and not being able to control afterwards, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas Anglicus was just like straight punches, very, very accurate, very, very relaxed as well. Clean, you know, just very little effort, you know. And I think that there was someone else that fought like that as well. I was in the Tyrell Fortune fight as well. His opponent Soma, it was commented that he was just so relaxed.
Yeah.
Tyrell started fast, as he always does, got gassed, and then because Soma was just chilling,
plodding along,
relaxed, that, you know, like as the fight went on, he was relatively stronger as the fight went on.
Close decision in that one for me.
Mm.
I had Fortune winning, but it was close.
Yeah, it was very close. Yeah.
The only other fight for me worth mentioning was Austin Vanderford versus Gabriel de Jesus, or Vinicius de Jesus. I'm going back to football again. Me and my football references. I was watching Gabriel Jesus scored against Liverpool today, so yeah, that's why. But Vanderford and de Jesus, great fight, back and forth. Vanderford gone to 10-0 now. Great wrestling and serious ground and pound when he has them down, and didn't tire at all.
What division are they in again?
170.
Okay.
Both guys got cut up quite bad as well. It was the third round was, but it was a good fight.
Nice. Good strong welterweight division contenders coming through there, so as well.
Building up massively, and Bellator rankings.
Yep.
And touch on Contender series.
Yep, absolutely.
First time out
for me for watching it.
Yeah.
First time watching a full event.
Yeah,
I've seen clips of ones before, but it was the first time actually sitting down and watching the whole thing.
I've built this up so much. I'm so happy that you tuned in this week.
It was the night of front kicks, alright, wasn't it?
Yeah, but like the whole premise is you got to get a finish to get a contract.
Yeah,
and they go for it.
Mm.
You can see it in them. It's a different type of fight. Like the first fight, Jared Vandera, quite interesting in the post-fight speech.
Yeah, he's a bit of
interesting boy.
Yeah, a bit of a weirdo, isn't he?
Yeah, it's another way to put it. I was trying to be polite, but yeah. And he was actually quite lucky to get the contract because his finish wasn't overly impressive.
No, I mean, if anybody looked impressive in that fight, was Harry Hunsucker right up until the time that he just he went for like this dopey Kimura like trying to defend a double leg takedown, going for a Kimura. What are you doing, boy? What are you doing? And he basically, once he was on bottom and Jared got on top of him, then he just didn't have the answer to get back to his feet.
And he didn't want to take too much punishment.
Yeah, he kind of did cover up, alright, didn't he? Yeah. But I mean, like,
he was looking for a way out when he started getting hit.
But he looked very, very impressive in the striking range, and he was giving Jared all sorts of problems.
Yeah. With
the overhand looping hooks and wild strikes, and he was closing that gap pretty good. The interesting thing about the VT that was in the lead up to that fight as well is Hunsucker came across as like one of these kids that grew up in the tough, mean streets. Himself and his brother were running the streets, and they were involved in drugs and everything like that. So, I wonder, is it a case of, do you remember the Bully Beatdown? Do you remember what's his name? Mayhem Miller. He used to have he had an MTV series called Bully Beatdown.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So this was the case.
I can see where this is going already. How have I not seen this?
Oh, it's an amazing series. I remember watching it back in the day.
Please tell me he goes like basically hunting bullies.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so people ring in and say, look, this guy's been kind of hassling me over the last few months. I want to see him getting beaten up. And then Mayhem Miller would bring your man in and challenge him to fight an actual pro fighter. Like like Joe Daddy Stevenson was one of the guys that beat up some bullies, and all these.
Fuck.
That was an amazing series.
How have I never heard of this?
It was a brilliant series, but it kind of reminded me of that.
Google later.
It reminded me of that. Like Hunsucker came in like, oh, I'm the tough guy. Myself and my brother ran the streets. Yeah, then he just gets absolutely smashed by a guy.
As soon as there's some technique involved, like yeah. Good luck.
So, but no, he was impressive in the stand-up range. Just that
But even at that, he just came forward with a lot of pressure and through hands. Like his strikes were slick enough, but he didn't look like he had much defense. Just Vandera didn't offer much on the feet either.
And Vandera was the one that we were talking about, had a pretty substantial amateur record as well in the States.
10 amateur fights, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot that experience coming through there, I suppose.
He'll be in like Dana said, essentially the reason he got the contract is because he's a heavyweight. They need heavyweights. He'll be an addition there.
Don't see him going very far though.
Yeah, maybe throw him up against Alexander Romanov and see how he gets on.
No. Keep him away from him. Right, Luis Saldana, Vince Murdoch.
Murdoch, by the way. Murdoch is a tough competitor out of Team Alpha Male.
Yeah.
Like, no joke, they were hot into him.
Mm.
And Saldana looked so impressive. His striking is so crisp.
Yep, just picking stuff off.
But like the finishing combination, it reminded me of Conor McGregor's finish of Alvarez. Joe, the way he landed the 4-punch even though he was moving away. Except this was front kick, right hand, left hand, front kick, right hand on the way down again.
Yeah.
So
just
impressive.
piecing them together.
Yeah.
I have on my notes here that he reminded me very much of Fufu Fares.
Yeah.
So Fufu actually came to mind for both this fight and the next fight. Like just that kind of laser point accuracy.
Yeah.
Very, very slick, very kind of slinky.
Using the range.
Yeah, using the range and picking some creative shots. And it could be anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was very impressed with his striking. Featherweight division. So again, another one for like the likes of Giga, Chikadze and
there's so many guys after coming out of featherweight and lightweight off Contender series as well.
Yeah.
So
And some fantastic strikers like and fantastic striking against a guy from Team Alpha Male who could potentially wrestle fuck you, like.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's a different level of striking.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's not just a kickboxer; it's a kickboxer who can sprawl and brawl. You know.
But did very well with feinting uppercuts and knees and stuff like that to keep the distance. It just looked massively impressive. Seasoned.
So in the welterweight division, then you had Ignatius Bahamondes from Chile against Edson Gomez from Mexico.
Yup.
What you reckon?
Vicious. Absolutely vicious. Even more impressive than Saldana for me. Like, overall.
I would go the opposite way because I thought Edson Gomez just wasn't ready.
Yeah, that's true as well. He
missed weight.
did have a tougher opponent.
Yeah, he missed weight and he was arguably in the wrong weight class even to miss weight in the first
100% in the wrong weight class.
This guy should be down at lightweight, easy.
The guy should be a bantamweight. He was about 5'5".
Yeah.
His belly was bigger than mine.
But good striking. No, he was tough.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't be from Mexico if he wasn't tough.
Yeah. Got that Andy Ruiz shit going on, like.
Yeah. But definitely. I mean, like to come on to Contender series, where arguably this is your shot. Do you know, this is your shot to make the big time, and then to miss weight. There's something wrong there. There's something. Either he wasn't given enough time, or he was in a bad place mentally, or there's some shit going on in his life, or whatever. But you don't get to, what was he? I think he was 10-1 or something. He's like a pretty decent record.
Yeah.
And then just to miss weight or something like that, you know.
But where is he fighting as well? So he's had these maybe 10, 11 pro fights before on smaller cards.
Yeah.
If he'd have missed by 2 or 3 pounds, did they care?
That's true.
Do you know, was the pressure ever on to make that 171 before? Did he ever have to go through like a proper dietitian? He hasn't hit that level where cutting weight is a big part of the sport.
Yeah.
No, obviously every pro's got to do it. Yeah. But when you're in his position, carrying that extra bit of weight, cutting hard is a lot tougher, or cutting weight is a lot tougher.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I just felt that it was just too soon for him, or it wasn't the right time for him. And then Bahamondes had a kind of an easier road than, especially like kicking a guy that's 5'5" in the face when you're 6'1".
Very true. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's just a kick to the nuts, really, like, isn't it?
Yeah, but nearly took his head off with it. Yeah, it was a vicious front kick.
And then of course we had Izzy's buddy, Karl Ulberg.
Yeah.
Bruno Oliveira. We talked about Oliveira actually being a natural middleweight and Ulberg being a natural heavyweight. He's ripped to death at light heavy.
That's it. He must have been a smallish heavyweight.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah,
he was never bigger than 230.
Maybe he was just a heavyweight in kickboxing.
Yeah,
because their weight classes are slightly different. But
I can never picture him being bigger than 230. Like he can't have lost that much weight to be fighting at 205.
He's got the frame to put on some muscle if he ever wants to become a heavyweight. But I would say light heavy is where he should be all right. I think he weighed in at 203 or something, or 202. So he
203,
wasn't. He wasn't at the limit.
And Oliveira was 202. So they were
Okay.
both. They were both a few under.
Yeah, Oliveira was definitely smaller, definitely physically smaller, and obviously weighed less.
It was a tough night for Oliveira.
Mm.
One thing that struck me about Ulberg, seemed very dismissive and unappreciative about getting the contract. Maybe it's just me. Maybe that was his mannerism.
Okay, I didn't notice that yet.
In the post fight, like when he was talking about all the other stuff he had going on, modeling, kickboxing, and he was like, I suppose, look, if I get the contract, I'll have to go away and do a bit more wrestling and jiu-jitsu to, properly focus on this sport. And it was kind of a happenstance. Oh, look, if it happens, great. I'll focus a little bit more. But didn't seem like everyone else that goes on that show, they're all in. Absolutely all in. UFC is the all and end all. This guy was... like I'll put a little bit more into it, I suppose, because I'm hitting the big show now. But I've got many other things going on. Was his attitude? Yeah, strange one.
Do you reckon Izzy had it was Izzy's influence that got him the
100%?
Yeah,
there's all these UFC guys. They do a favor to get a guy in a show.
Yeah,
always, and you see it on Tough all through the years. They introduce these guys. He's fighting out of this gym. He knows this guy. Or anyone that coaches on The Ultimate Fighter, a couple of their boys just happen to be on that show.
Yeah. So Artem got in on a kind of a grandfather in kind of thing after losing his entry fight.
Exactly.
And McGregor was coaching that season. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah. But definitely, I wasn't massively impressed with him.
Yeah, and I'd worry about the mentality. If that's his mentality, and he goes in against 205 killers. They'll smoke you. Yeah,
you see, like, that's the thing. Like, he wasn't fighting a 205er. He was fighting a 185er. Yeah. And, like, the shots they hit him with, the second one was a slap. He hit him with the inside of his palm. The third one he missed him with. Yeah. Do you know, the first one was, okay, he hit him with a check hook. It wasn't great. I mean, do you know...
It just clipped him. Yeah. It wasn't a technically perfect punch.
Based on what Izzy was saying about him, I was expecting to see like do you know, like the two boys that Bahamondes and Saldana were like miles ahead of him.
Then again, the guy is now only 3-0 in MMA. That has to be said. But what I will say is, go in and tell Glover Teixeira, fight Glover Teixeira and tell him you'll have a modelling career to fall back on if you lose. The fuck out of here, he'll rearrange your face. Got a modelling career to worry about. You doing your shit.
You could take your after photographs now. We'll do your before photographs. To be fair though,
good looking motherfucker though.
He does definitely have a few things going for him, in fairness.
Yeah. Laura Sanko pining over him the whole show. Fucking damp over in the corner looking at him like kept getting put on the spot as well.
I know. Yeah, Dana White doesn't throws her under the bus too.
Yeah.
Anyway. What do we have? No, we did. That was everything.
You wanted to touch on the main event in one?
In one, yeah. So we had, I can't remember the names of the guys now. The two lads that fought Yushin Okami. So it was for the middleweight strap.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't find my notes on it now. But anyway, the two boys, good fight. We had an American lad with Japanese heritage. No, his name is just not there. He's unbeaten, came in to fight the
12-0 you said last week, yeah.
Yeah, so he's coming in to fight the current champ, and he was taking it. He was taking the fight, like he was doing very, very, very well. Scored are you squeamish about broken noses?
No.
Okay.
You saw me after the fight in Belfast.
That's true, yeah, but that's what. But you couldn't see your own nose.
I could feel my own nose, and I could see the blood in my eyes.
Well, this guy had like a very, very prominent kind of a I suppose you would call it kind of like a Middle Eastern. You know, they have a really big kind of a big prominent nose. It took a 1-2 and it just straight over to the side, and. Yeah, so I think it was in the third round. Then he scored. He went for a knee, so his opponent kept on coming for that double leg takedown. Yeah. He clipped him with a knee and just went to town on him, took him out of there. Very, very good fight. So they have like as a card, there was only 6 fights on the card, or 5 or 6 fights on the card. There was one female fight, totally mismatched. Couple of mismatched fights throughout the card, but that main event was a good one.
And did was it Ann Stiller and New?
What?
Was it and Stiller and new? Did he retain or did he?
Oh no, he retained. Yeah, he retained. So he handed the guy his first loss, and it was against the run of play. So it was a good win, you know.
Yeah.
Abasov, I think, is the champion.
Yeah. I've one to throw at you.
Okay.
What about Abasov versus Anderson Silva? We talked about Anderson Silva. Where could he possibly go?
Yeah.
One would be a location that would make somewhat kind of sense.
Yeah, good call.
Would it be a good fight? Would it be?
I see Anderson Silva easily stomping on him.
But there you go. That's perfect for one.
Yeah.
Like if they're after having a big title fight now at 85,
they've
got a champion who's after knock you off the number one contender, bring over Anderson.
Yep, that's a good shout.
The big bucks.
Yeah, good shout.
Not that we said we don't want to see him fight again, but
yeah, and Dana White won't release them anyway to sign for one championships.
As far as I know, there was some agreement there.
I was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Anderson Silva. He's not going to stop him. Well, he might, but one isn't one of his big competitors. Like he's let Eddie Alvarez go over there. He let Mighty Mouse Johnson go over there.
And John Lineker is in their main event next week.
Yeah. So he's let some guys go over there. It's not Bellator he's going to. I think he'd rather Anderson Silva go over to Japan and take on these guys that arguably aren't UFC level anyway, in his opinion, definitely. And fight out the rest of his career there than try and go to Bellator or try and go to PFL.
I wouldn't say that lads Abasov and the Japanese kid, I'd say they would hang in the UFC, but like outside the top 15.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say they would be like, you know, top 20 maybe, possibly top 15, but no higher than that. I think they would have a rough night.
But that's just it. Anderson was in the top 15.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah, no, I would say he would have an easy-ish night with either of the two boys.
Worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah,
if one are smart, that's the move they're trying to make right now. Because obviously with Mighty Mouse over there at the moment, having Anderson would add to that nicely. That'd be a big move for them to get the American market on board, because I know they're over in America now. They're streaming, or they're on some TV station over in America now. So
right.
They're trying to build that market, but they're doing it essentially on Mighty Mouse's back.
Yeah.
You get Anderson on board, that's a lot more viewers.
Yeah, 100%. And the one thing they have got though is Mike Schiavello. Have you ever heard of Mike Schiavello? He's the voice. He used to be.
You were on about him before, yes.
He's my god! Just to listen to him commentate, it's hilarious.
You were saying that there was some video of just his his comments.
Yeah, so that was the fight against the guy that his name was Manheof.
Oh yes, you were saying that.
And Schiavello's like, my anus is taking a pounding. It's like 15 minutes of
him just cracking jokes without realizing it.
Oh, he realized that. This
man
man is. He's a genius.
Very good.
How he had some buttes. I can't remember them now off the top of my head, but he just comes up with all these similes and phrases. You know.
Yeah,
he's
not like Goldie. Goldie used to crack a joke and not realize that it was funny. And
no. Yeah, Schiavello has these. I'd say he has been like. I'd say he spends most of his day coming up with one-liners and then storing them
just for the stream or just.
But
they
seem
live.
to come out like as if they were just created for that one fight.
Yeah,
and he just pulls it out of the bag, and it's not like I've listened to him for a good few years. I've never heard him use the same one multiple times. You know, it's always a unique phrase he comes up with.
Could just be really quick with it. And
he's savage. Very good. The best part of watching that card was listening to Mike Schiavello.
I'm gonna have to check him out. I've said that the last time and I never did, so I will definitely do it this time. We better look at some fights coming up this week. We have some big ones.
Yeah,
have some big ones.
Islam Makhachev, RDA.
We have bigger than that this week on Thursday night. Bellator 252.
Oh, we do. We have Mr. Pedro Carvalho
against Patricio Pitbull Freire for the lightweight or featherweight title. Lightweight title. He holds both of them, so
yeah. But it's for the featherweight that he's going for.
Featherweight title, yes. The featherweight Grand Prix. This is the quarterfinal round. Now, for those who aren't following, this was a 16-man tournament. The first one they've done.
Yeah.
16-man Grand Prix. Pedro beat Sam Sicilia in the first round, and Pitbull beat Juan Archuleta, which, if you think about it, he's holding the lightweight title currently. He's holding the featherweight title currently, and his last victory is over the current bantamweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
So for £30, he's the reigning champ
Mm-hmm.
in my eyes. Like the guy just looks unbeatable. But styles make fights, and I think Pedro has a good chance on Thursday night.
Yep.
We have Pedro's opinion on he was on the show a couple of weeks ago, so we have his opinion here on the fight.
So yeah, that's your interview going back a few weeks. I think that's Blood and Bandage number 8. If anybody wants to listen to the rest of that podcast with that full interview.
Yeah, if there was ever a man with supreme confidence, it is Pedro Carvalho. He's looked impressive with Bellator. He's on a 6-fight win streak, 4-0 in Bellator, wins over Derek Campos and Sam Sicilia. And he admitted in himself in the interview that he was probably the last person that Bellator had in mind for this 16-man Grand Prix.
He was the dark horse, yeah.
But even to get into it.
To get into it in the first place, yeah.
Like they had 16 and they probably had another 10 outside that if things didn't work out, whatever. But he said he took the Derek Campos fight and made it known that he wanted it to be the winner gets in. And he got himself in, beat Sam Sicilia, looked very impressive doing so.
So this is the quarterfinal, you said, was it?
Quarterfinal. But the way it works is if you beat the champ,
you are the champ.
You're the champ.
Okay.
So
it's a title fight as well.
It's a title fight as well. He'll go into the next round, which will be actually the co-main event against either Daniel Weichel or Emmanuel Sanchez, which is another extraordinary fight.
Yeah, so Daniel Weichel has wins over Brian Moore and Saul Rogers.
Yeah.
2 SPG guys. And he has a loss. Both of the guys in that other side have losses to Patricio in the past.
Yeah. I mean, that's just it. The two guys on the other side of the bracket are both essentially, so Daniel Weichel beats Saul Rogers in the Grand Prix, and before that he was on a 4-fight win streak, lost to Pitbull. Emmanuel Sanchez, he has a win over Claxton in the tournament, and he had another win before that. But he was on a 4-fight win streak up until he met Pitbull as well and got beat. So the only new face here for Pitbull, at least until he gets that AJ McKee, you would imagine will be in the final. That fight's next week. We'll talk about that next week. Is Pedro Carvalho, and he's the only new style set for him to worry about.
So who have you got in? Obviously, we're going to go for Pedro in the main event. Well, are we?
Yeah. So here's the thing: like he's obviously a massive dog in this fight. But he kind of thrives under that. Like if anyone's watched any of his fights before, the bigger the opponent, the more impressive he's looked, and he takes it to them, doesn't back down. And Pitbull is the kind of fighter that enjoys that. So whatever the outcome of this fight, it's going to be an extremely entertaining one.
So I remember when they were... So this fight was originally scheduled for March. It was literally a couple of hours before...
It was cancelled 4 hours before the event started.
Before the event. They had already done the weigh-ins and everything, and then it was just the whole thing was pulled. And in the camp leading up to that, John Kavanagh had been on to me asking about karate guys for Pedro to spar with.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have the 2 perfect guys down here. The twins. And just so happens that the twins are about maybe 15 kilos too heavy, but they would have been the perfect style to mimic the guys. But the twins had a training partner in Belfast, and it ended up being that this guy came down from Belfast and did a few rounds of sparring, or a few kind of sparring sessions with Pedro, just to give him the timing of that karate footwork, and you know. So Patricio uses that, what we would call in karate as a yakizuki. He would be a counter puncher, basically a straight backhand, and
he's in and out.
Yeah. Same type of footwork, kind of draw you into his space and then pick you off at the backhand.
But this is it, by looking at him, Just if for those who wouldn't know the intricacies of it, he doesn't look like a karate fighter. Stance, the way his strikes don't come from those positions, but he uses one of the best aspects of it. To his advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a guy that has adapted the style to MMA. But yeah, so who have you got for the co-main? Are you going for Sanchez or Weichel?
Co-main's a very tricky one. Weichel, he's just so tough to beat. Yeah. So tough to beat. And when he gets you to the mat, he's a nightmare. His head and arm triangles are frightening. But Emmanuel Sanchez has looked more impressive of late. Yeah. I'd still lean towards Weichel. I think he's gritty. I
was leaning towards Sanchez just because he has momentum. I think he's only got the one loss to Patricio in his last 7 or 8. So I just think his confidence is up there a bit more. And
And so you never picked for the main event.
Oh, I have to go with Pedro.
Yeah, you're not going to put him on blast.
No. I'd be kicked out of SPG if I didn't go for Pedro. No. But I have faith in Pedro. I think he's, as you say, he is a dog. He's the man for the big event. And he was ready for this in March. Yeah. You can be damn sure he trained his ass off for 6 months in the interim. Like
he said that. Check out the interview. He talks he doesn't just talk about this fight, and he is focused on this fight, but he's already visioned the other 2 fights in this bracket that he has ahead of him, and he looks really, really motivated to get this done.
Under that, you have the Yaroslav
Amosov.
Yeah. That was one that stood out to me because you've got 2 unbeaten guys there.
Yes.
24-0. Yeah. 24-0 from Amosov, and Logan Starley's 11-0. Yeah. Both of them 6th fight in Bellator for Amosov and 7th fight in for Storley.
And both finishers as well, by the way.
Yeah, lots of subs from Amosov. Yeah. Lots of ground and pound and TKOs for Storley, and he has a win over Jacqueline Buckley as well. Yeah, which is interesting.
Win over Matt Secure, Jan Pascu of SPG, and Joaquin Buckley, who's the KO king of this year. Amosov has a few decent wins as well. Gerald Harris, you have Eric Silva, David Rickles, Ed Root. So
the only thing I would say about Amosov there, just looking through his record, the 24 wins, an awful lot of his early wins, I'd say, were amateur fights that were recorded as pros.
If not, they were. He does look a bit padded up until about 10 and 11 and 12.
Yeah. So it's probably pretty even going into this, I would say, in terms of records, even though it is there is almost twice the number of wins on Amosov's record.
The one thing I would say, Amosov has fought much tougher opponents in his Bellator run. 24 wins and 19 finishes, so he's 10 subs and 9 KOs, so he can do it on the feet and on the mat. I just think he's more routes to victory than Storley. Storley's looked very impressive. 8 KOs and 11 wins. But like you say, a lot of them are ground and pound takedown.
And the thing is that Logan comes from a very strong wrestling background as well. Now, Ukrainian fighters are notorious for having strong wrestling. I just wonder is Storley's wrestling pedigree just that a bit too much for Amosov in this fight? I think I just get this sense that he's going to be able to take him down and hold him down.
So you've got Storley.
I've got Storley for this one.
Oof, I got Amosov. We're very split. The only other fight on that card that I think is worth mentioning, well, obviously it's actually a very good card. Yeah, one of their bigger ones this year.
Yeah, huge number of fights on the card.
But one that people might know is Aaron Pico. Yep. 24-year-old who's 6-3 is going against John De Jesus, 13-8. John De Jesus on a 3-fight win streak. Aaron Pico's on a 2-fight win streak. He's kind of had it tough since he's made his debut. There was so much pressure on this kid to be the next big thing.
Wasn't he a big Muay Thai striker in Glory, was he? Is that it? Am I thinking about the same guy?
He's a massive boxing background, massive wrestling background, and massive jiu-jitsu background.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking of something completely different. So.
Yeah, like the guy's just a freak. He was like just a complete freak in anything he did. Yep. And they expected when they signed him that he was going to be a walk-through to champion, taking no L's.
Fighting out of Jackson Wink as well. So that's another way to carry.
But the losses have only seemed to serve him well. Yeah, he's looked better. Now, he did have a 2-fight skid before this run.
That was Corrales and Barracks.
Yeah, And the Adam Boric fight, I would have seen him taking a W there. I thought he was better than Boric, but Boric just outpointed him in that fight. So, but yeah, I kind of got to give this one to Aaron Pico.
Yep, I agree on this one.
The Jesus only 1-0 in Bellator as well. Just
Yep, second Bellator fight. Yep. No, I agree with you on that one.
Other than that, we look at this upcoming weekend's UFC card, UFC Vegas 14 or whatever they're calling it.
Yep.
Dos Anjos versus Machachaev.
It's Vegas 14.
Yeah.
So that's the So you have Machachaev coming in off a 6-fight win streak. Dos Anjos has 4 losses in his last 5.
Yeah.
However, they've been against welterweights.
Yeah, and not just any welterweights. Usman, Colby, Edwards, and Chiesa.
Yep.
I mean, all 4 a complete fucking nightmare.
Yep. And he has a win over Kevin Lee.
Yeah, at welterweight.
Another nightmare fight.
And he was streaking at 55 as well, let's not forget.
Yeah. So coming back down as the heavier guy, and these are all decisions that he lost as well. They're not. He wasn't beaten up.
Colby finished him, I believe.
Okay. No. I have unanimous decision on my notes here, but I probably wrote it down.
I think one of them did. I don't know. I didn't think it was 4 decisions. It could very well have been. Yeah, he's on a 2-fight skid, but I think the biggest factor here, because Machachaev is obviously going to be a favourite in this fight. He's streaky in at lightweight. If Dos Anjos comes back and that cut is easy for him like it was before, and he's comfortable at that weight, I think he's a very tough out for Machachaev.
It's definitely a kind of a proven fight for Machachaev. And we're talking about Machachaev breaking into this like top 4 where the McGregor, Poirier, and the other boys, Ferguson and Chandler, and that he's going to have to, like, this is the one. Yeah. This is the one that puts him in that picture now. Yeah. The other thing that I feel might be a bit of a worry for Dos Anjos is that he tested positive for COVID only a few weeks back. That's why they didn't fight the first time.
Yes.
So what effect is that going to have on his lungs?
And the last time they did this, the last time they moved the fight only a few weeks down the road was the Yankuth Lava fight, and it got called again. And this is a main event. Would it be the first main event we've lost to COVID?
So, as in they called it because he was still positive, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. Yeah,
the week of.
Right.
No, we've lost. I believe we've lost a couple of main events to COVID, but a couple of weeks out where they switch things around.
Yeah.
But would this be the first on fight week to lose a main event?
I don't know. I was thinking more that just like
the damage is taken on the body and
because like anybody that I've spoken to who's suffered from COVID will tell you that just the loss of air, even climbing the stairs, is noticeable for months afterwards.
Cutting weight during that can't be good.
Yeah. No, I think his body will have been severely weakened. No, unless he's had like a very, very mild case non-symptomatic, and he bounced back from it. Like hopefully, I'd like to see Dos Anjos come back and
look good at 55.
And I think it would. I think Machachaev, obviously his 6-fight win streak means that he is definitely a future contender, possibly a future champion. But he needs to get this tough test. He needs this tough test, and I think this is it. So I'm looking forward to this.
I'm leaning towards Machachaev though. I think he gets it done. I think there's too many variables when it comes to Dos Anjos.
Yeah.
I think the very best version of Dos Anjos gives Machachaev a very tough fight. Yeah. But there's too many variables for me. I'm leaning towards Machachaev.
Just to be controversial, I'm going to go against you on this one.
Do you know what? Secretly, I hope you're right. Not that I dislike Machachaev, just I've been a Dos Anjos fan for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Next up, co-main event, you have Abdul Razak Al Hassan against Kaelan Williams. Interesting enough fight. Like, as far as the 170-pound division go, it's not the best matchup. Abdul Razak, he has 2 wins over Homasi back to back. You have the win over Nico Price, win over Charlie Ward.
Yep. That Charlie Ward one was in Belfast.
Yeah. 4-2 overall in the UFC. and he's taking on Caelan Williams, who's on a 7-fight win streak. No, he obviously only just made his debut against Morono, who's also fighting on the card, might I add.
Yep.
Alex Morono. And KO'd him. So you have to lean towards the up-and-coming contender here against a guy who's struggling to find his feet in UFC.
Yeah, I think it's a pick 'em fight. I think you could toss a coin on this one. Do you know, their records are virtually identical.
Oh, goalie, back. Shout out.
But yeah, I mean, like both these guys are going to be swinging from the bell.
Yeah.
And whoever lands first.
Yeah.
So you could toss a coin. Will we go opposites?
Who do you want? I'm going Caelan, and yeah.
Okay, so I'll go
Abdul Razak.
That guy, yeah.
Next up, you have Julian Marquez against. No, feel free to take over here. Safarov.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's a fucking tongue twister, is what it is. Like, fair enough, your surname is Safarov, not that hard to pronounce. His parents were taking the piss when they called him Safarberg, like.
Yeah. Where's he from?
1-3. I believe he's Ukrainian.
Oh, okay.
I believe. Actually, I could be very wrong in that. I have Ukrainian written somewhere, and it's definitely over someone else's name.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Yaroslav Amosov. I just took a wild guess there. I don't know, is the straight answer. He's 1-3 in the UFC. Losses to Tyson Pedro, Jean Vellante, and Vera Lopez. Yeah, he hasn't looked very impressive.
Susceptible to subs is what I've got down in my notes for him anyway.
Yep.
And then Julian Marquez is like, he's had like one fight a year for the last 3 years. He's 1-1 in the UFC so far. Or just not very active. Like, I don't know, does this fight deserve to be on the main card?
But I'm going back to this, and I said this every single time that we've had a strong Bellator card out.
Yeah,
we get matched with a relatively weak UFC card.
Yeah.
And this time they're not even on the same night.
Yeah,
they're 2 nights apart, but they just, I don't know, they seem no. Again, saying that every time I said it, we've got great fights, but just I'm saying on paper, it doesn't look like the biggest card. Julian Marquez has some good wins though. I know he's been kind of inactive. He's a win over Darren Stewart, which is very impressive, and he's a win over the arguable GOAT Matt Hamill.
Oh yeah,
going back through his record in Combatche. So okay, his last loss to Chirico. He had a 5-fight win streak over before that, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say anything about the guy. He got KO'd stiff on Dana White Contender Series, but somehow made his way to the UFC. Interesting one. I like, this is literally for me a toss of a coin.
Yep. Yeah, I'd be the same. Right, who do you want?
You pick this time, Gwen. I'll be generous.
Well, seeing as though you made such a good fist of the name, I'll give you the Safarov one. And I'll take Julian Marquez.
Very good. I'm going all blue corners, though.
So the heavyweights are the next ones up. I was having a look through the tail of the tape for these guys. You have Dontail Maez, 7-4 on a 2 submission loss streak. Mostly a striker, but has a long AMI record. And he is up against Rock Martinez, 15-6-2. He has a loss to Alexander Romanov, which you can't blame him for.
Absolutely not. And
also a loss to Krokop.
Oof. He fought Krokop.
And he has a
Krokop
win.
58.
This was only, this was a few years ago. He's after coming through.
Please tell me Krokop is not still fighting.
No, this is a good few years ago.
Right.
I'm just saying that Martinez has, he's fought some really tough.
He's been about a bit, so yeah.
Yeah. He has a win over Jerome Lebaner, who was a big K1 kickboxer guy. Probably had fancied himself into the MMA world and then just got beaten up and then went back to kickboxing or something. But anybody to take out Jerome Lebaner is that's.
And what way did he finish him, or was it a decision?
And I actually can't remember.
Because if the other guy is susceptible to submissions and this is a takedown artist, which you'd imagine if he's after beating a glory kickboxer.
Yeah. I like from my own notes anyway. I think Rock Martinez has faced far tougher competition.
Yeah.
I don't see this going any other way than Rock Martinez.
Yeah, I'll go with you. Dontel Mays, they'd come off the Contender series and looked impressive, but I'd lean to your knowledge there and go with Rock Williams as well.
Well, it wasn't really knowledge; it was Wikipedia. That was about it.
But yeah, I mean, you knew who the kickboxer was. I'd never heard his fucking name before. So
Michael Chiovello now would have been a Jerome Lebonnet fan. He would have been like back in the glory days of, like, not glory days, but the big days of K1 kickboxing. Jerome Lebonnet would have been the man. Like,
big name.
Yeah, big French. I think he's French kickboxer.
Sounds French. Lebonnet.
Yeah. Heavyweight, like big power kicks, like big dude. Anybody that takes him out is definitely tough.
Yeah, as of today, Daniel Rodriguez, who was supposed to be on the card as well, is without an opponent. He was supposed to be fighting Brian Barina, but Brian Barina pulled out due to COVID.
Okay.
That only happened today. So I'm not really sure if the Eric Anders and Anthony Arroyo fight has been moved up to the main card yet.
Yeah,
but I think it has.
I have it actually on the main card on my notes. So whatever website I was looking at has it on the main card. So whether that was the official UFC page, which apparently is the worst possible source for fights.
You can never predict. Yeah. But it's a good fight at 185 pounds. One of the better fights on the card. Actually, it could easily be the co-main event.
Yeah. It should definitely be moved up a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. You have Eric Anders coming off a loss to Jocko. He's 2-4 in his last 6, 5-5 in the UFC, but he's entertaining. Wins over Mearshart, wins over Perez, wins over Natal, wins over Brendan Allen.
And all of his losses have been at light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Which arguably is just not his weight class. He should be at middleweight. And anytime he's fought at middleweight, the only person he's lost to there has been Machida.
Yeah.
And
Mearshart was at middleweight, no?
But he beat Mearshart.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So he's like, I think this is just him returning to his natural weight class, and I don't think we should be reading too much into the 4 losses.
Yeah. And Anthony Arroyo, 9-3, again coming off a loss to Muniz. He was on Dana White Contender Series twice.
Yeah.
Dana White Contender Series, Brazil got the win, but didn't look very impressive. They brought him back, looked impressive,
and he lost his UFC debut then.
Yeah. But on a 5-fight win streak before that. But he looks like a contender at 85. To get 2 wins on the Contender Series in that climate is very impressive.
Yeah.
So
I'm still leaning towards Anders on this.
Yeah, experience,
and he's SPG.
Is he SPG as well?
He is.
Oh, there you go.
SPG Alabama.
There was one from SPG Alabama as well last week.
Yeah.
The boys are showing
big show.
out. The only other fight worth noting is our boy Reese McKee. He was on the show last week. Is making his UFC comeback against Alex Moreno. Reese McKee obviously has suffered that loss to Hamzat Chimaev, and looking to turn the tables. He's taking on an opponent with a 10-fight vet in the UFC, 6-3-1, no contest in the UFC. But we fancy Reese in this one. I think you're the same.
Yeah, I think so. Well, to be honest, I didn't know much about Moreno until you had Reese on with your interview there last week, and I know he's a 10-fight vet. But this is Reese's world. He's a striker, and it should be a good fight for him. And we know that Reese took that Chimaev fight on short notice. He's going to get at least a shot, possibly another shot. But I think a win here would really put him into the rankings and set him on his way. So you wanted to we'll play a bit of the interview from...
This is a bit of Reese from last week and why he makes it a fight.
So Reese sounding confident for that fight. It's going to be a good one. it's a good one to get some Irish blood back in there again, and
definitely
bit of interest for all the Irish fans that are
before
watching.
the obvious return in January, but
yeah, absolutely.
Just quickly before we go, going to touch on Dana White Contender Series again. Is back on Tuesday this week.
Yep.
Couple of interesting fights in that. You have the main event. I am going to butcher his name, but I'm going to go for it. He's the Iron Pole. He's fighting out of Canada. Kizyakovic. I don't know. 8-0, 7 finishes. He's taking on Mario Felipe de Souza. That's going to be an unbelievable fight. 11-1 with 11 finishes at 185 pounds. Going to be absolutely phenomenal.
What weight class is that in?
Middleweight again. More middleweight contenders coming off it. And there's a very interesting fight at strawweight, women's strawweight. Luciano Pinheiro, 7-1, 5-fight win streak, all finishes, taking on Stephanie Frauster, who's 8-6, but she's 6-2 in her last 8 fights. She's fought in Bellator, she's fought in Invicta twice, she's fought in Combaches. Very tough opponent. Going to be an interesting one as well.
There's actually 2 strawweight fights on the Vegas card as well. It's like almost like they have a mini tournament going on there in the strawweight women.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to be a strawweight girl as well.
And there's some contenders there.
Yeah, coming up.
Like you have the obvious ones. Andrade is that's moving up to 125 pounds, but you still have Nami Yunus and Whittaker hanging about there.
Yep.
But you have some contenders, Yan Xuanan, and some more coming up behind. So. Yep. Division's looking strong.
And who's that girl that she had a loss, but her father started making excuses for her? Do you remember that girl? She was supposedly unbeaten in all of her combat experience up until this point, and then she hurt her knee in the fight, and the doctor came in and checked it and said, "Oh, you should be fighting with that." And then they carried on with the fight, and then she lost the fight. Do you remember this one?
I remember that.
Isn't she in the strawweight division as well? I think she's part of this four fight or this
mini tournament,
little mini tournament. If I could pull it up, I'd get it there for you. But
so I actually remember that because I remember, again, I can't remember who it was, but I remember it was the first time the UFC had ever been called in, or a doctor had ever been called in the UFC to check on an injury that wasn't a visibly broken bone or a cut.
It was definitely her ACL was gone.
But I mean, to call the doctor in to look at it, you're essentially letting the opponent know, oh, her knee's blown to shit. We're just checking on it.
Yeah.
And then going, no, the fight's good to continue. If the doctor comes in for an injury like that, the fight has to be called.
I want to say it was Miranda Granger.
Oh, name doesn't ring a bell.
I don't.
Name doesn't ring a bell. It could be.
She's 7-1, so she's so that's one of the 4. Then you have Ashley Yoder.
Ashley Yoder. It was Ashley Yoder.
Was it Ashley Yoder?
Ashley Yoder.
No, she's 7-6, so I don't think it's her. But you have Kay Hansen is there as well. Now Kay Hansen is the girl. I think she the girl that was studying for a PhD as well at the same time. She's only fighting recently as well, and she's fighting a girl from Wales, Corey McKenna. So you've got like these 4. These look like kids in their like, you know what I mean? They look like they're just after coming out of like an NSYNC concert or something like that, and they're on their way into they're on their way into the UFC to fight it out.
You're really fucking showing your age, Liam.
I was trying to think of a more modern. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
We know Liam was tuning in though when he was growing up anyway.
Justin Timberlake, but
what a man.
There we go. So lots of fights to be keeping up with. Jesus, we're going to have another busy week again. We're going to be
a busy week.
No
Listen,
sleep.
I'm in lockdown. This is fucking.
You're enjoying this. Yeah.
The Saturday night timings are a bit awful when you're getting woken up at 8 o'clock in the morning and you're up until 5:45 watching the main event. Yeah, they're a bit rough, but other than that, and I'm the kind of guy I can't watch it next day. I'll just look at the results and I'll flick through and see highlights, but I can't watch it next day. I have to watch it live. But
yeah, it's definitely better live, alright. But yeah, this 3 we were spoiled there for a few weeks where we had a few kind of normal time.
Go back to Yaz Island, lads.
Yeah, I know. But what was it, 5 a.m. for the main event this on Saturday night?
Yeah, very very late.
Yeah, it's like when McGregor was fighting in Vegas all over again. Like yeah, I know it's pain the hole. But look, we do it because we love it.
Exactly, and to keep you guys somewhat informed or just talk bullshit to you, whichever way you read it.
Yeah, it's mostly bullshit, really, isn't it?
Mostly.
So tomorrow we'll be publishing the both the interviews. So we have Jason Kearns, a Wexford man fighting out in Dubai on Human Fight Championships. It was making his pro debut. So we had an interesting chat with Jason earlier on, and we're going to put that into a separate podcast, which will be released tomorrow. And you were talking to...
Yeah, I'm going to be talking to Derek Anderson, who got an impressive win on last Thursday night in Bellator. Like I say, he's due a big fight. He's been scheduled to fight MVP twice, scheduled to fight Paul Daly twice, all fell through. So he's due a big fight in the 170-pound division. So should be
awesome. So stay tuned for those two interviews. They'll probably go out in the same podcast tomorrow, and that'll be kind of like a separate podcast to this one. And there's any comments, questions, rebukes, corrections that you want us to make, don't be afraid to hit us up on Blood and Bandage on Twitter. Check us out on Facebook, Blood and Bandage MMA on Facebook. Buzzsprout, in fact, look, just go to Buzzsprout and you'll see all the links from there. And you can follow us both on Twitter as well. Paul, what was your handle again?
P_ODEA.
And plenty of dick pics in his DMs there. He loves them. He has them all printed out and posted on his wall at home.
I was actually slightly disappointed I didn't get any this week, so
you're going to get some lash of them this week. You can find me at Liam OG Griffin on Twitter as well. And that's it, guys. Until next week, or until tomorrow. You can listen to the interviews tomorrow, and then we will talk to you again next week.
Like and subscribe as well.
Fuck, I want to fight with Chuck. Fuck, Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck. Are you still drunk right now? Are you still drunk? What's going on?
This is Bruce Lee shit. Frank Mir